So today I'm going to be talking about something that I've been asked a lot of times. How did I manage medical school and content writing slash content marketing? So I started out content writing and content marketing when I was in the 4th year of university medical school, and I promise you, let nobody lie to you, it was a lot. Juggling medical school, working full-time for brands, working freelance and all that, they were a lot of work, right? But this is how I did it, and this is how you can too. So some years ago, I think last year or last 2 years, I had this interview with Career Buddy. If you don't know Career Buddy, you probably live under a rock. So I had this interview with Career Buddy where they were asking me, oh, how did you manage being a medical doctor, being a medical student, and writing, working a full-time role in writing, creating and building a career in writing, content writing and content marketing. And I promise you, I had an answer to the question, but this is not always the answer every time, because it changes. A lot of times I receive new perspectives on, oh, I remember I did this, I remember I did that. So I'm just going to summarize everything for you. Now, number one, if you're in that situation, the first thing you have to do is work on your mindset, right? I had this mindset that I could never be overwhelmed, no matter what happens, no matter how much pressure I'm under, right? So once you have this mindset, it already sets you apart. You already see yourself as somebody that can juggle the two of them. Don't see it as something that's too burdensome, that's too hard. Because if you see it as something that's too burdensome, you would never be able to manage the both of them. Now, the second thing is learn to work under pressure. Now, I know we put it in our resumes a lot. Oh, I work under pressure. But how many people actually know how to work under pressure? Now, pressure is good because pressure helps you to get work done in limited time, right? There's this law, Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill up the amount of time allocated to it, right? So if you allocate 5 hours to studying your books as a doctor, you're going to actually finish studying in 5 hours. But if you allocate 3 hours to studying your book as a doctor, you may actually finish studying your books in 3 hours, right? So learn to apportion time to these things, to work under pressure, to learn to use limited time to achieve what you have to achieve. Because you have less time just like everybody else, but you have to use it to your benefit. You have to use it to achieve the things that you have to do. And the first thing you can do in that light is time management. Learn to manage your time properly. Learn to write to-do lists. Learn to apportion time to things, to tasks that you know that you need to complete. The next thing is work with deadlines. If you don't work with deadlines, you're going to be choked, right? I know just sometimes that you have an article to write and there's a long stretch of time. Don't let that be you. Work with deadlines. Even if you don't have a deadline by the client, get a deadline for yourself and aim to finish one day before the deadline, right? So that if you don't finish one day before the deadline, you eventually finish on the deadline, right? So work with deadlines. Deadlines help you to achieve a lot more than you could possibly achieve without them, right? So you need to work with a deadline. Now, the next thing that you need to do is always plan for the rainy days. And what are the rainy days? I like to tell people that there are 2 phases in everybody's schooling. Number one, there's the the slow phase, and then there's the pressure phase. Pressure phase are also called the rainy days, right? So when you're as a student, there's the slow phase where you're just coming to school. School is just beginning for the semester or the session, and there's no much workload. There's no much you don't have a lot to do really. So that is the time to major on your work as a content writer or as whatever digital skill you do. Major on it. Get clients, get retainer clients that can pay you. They can place you on a monthly salary or a weekly salary for a long time. Double down on your marketing, pitch to people, get retainer clients, get people that you can outsource your work to, because you're going to be doing a lot of outsourcing as well. All right, so just do your work as a content marketer. Double down on your work during those slow phases. All right, so when you now get to the rainy phase or the pressure phase, swap it. Okay, there's something I forgot to say. So in the slow phase, while you're doubling down on your content marketing work, you have to create a routine around your reading. Do not do crash reading. guys, do not do crash reading, because I mean, you can have an exam and you have a deadline the next day and you need to do both of them. You need to read and meet your deadline. So do not do crash reading, especially when you don't have readily available people that you can outsource to, that would give you the quality of work that you need. Right? So while you're doubling down on your content work or whatever digital skill that you do, you must create a routine around your reading. So either you say, okay, I read 2 hours every day. I'm talking of when I was a medical student. I'll still get to when I became a medical doctor and how I was able to manage it. So you can say, I read 2 hours every day, and just keep to that routine every single day. You make sure you read 2 hours of your day, and then the rest of the day double down on your digital skill, right? So during the pressure phase, the tides change, right? So you now have to double down on your books and create a routine around your work, right? So double down on your books, go to classes, create discussion groups, do all the amazing reading stuff, and then create a routine around your work. Say I work 2 hours every day, 6 to 8 every morning. I do my work and that's it. So just create a routine around it. Oh, I outsource this work, I do this work here, I do research there, I do this there. While I'm going to school in the bus, I'll do my research. While I'm in the class, maybe during break times and stuff, I'll write my first draft. So just create a routine around your work and double down on your books. So by the time you do this, towards the exam, you're doubling down on your books. You have a lot more recent knowledge, and you still have your residual knowledge from your routine phase that would still help you. And then you have already gotten your clients during your slow phase of school, so you already have those clients as retainer clients during your pressure phase, and you can use them to cover up for some clients that you may not have during that time. So basically, it evens out everything. You now play on a leveled field with the rest of your classmates, right? So when I became a doctor, what did I do differently? So when I became a doctor, things were a lot different. Number one, I didn't have a lot of reading to do when I get home at night and the evenings when I get home. So that was my work time. So I just rescheduled the whole thing. I do a 9 to 5 when I'm in the hospital, and then when I get home, I do a 5 to 9 working for my digital skill or working for whatever remote job I'm working for at the time. So basically, it was a lot, really, because I mean, being a doctor means that you have to be hands-on. But then what nobody tells you, which is actually true, is that doctors have pockets of time. There's sometimes that you're on call that you may not be very busy. There's sometimes that you're in the hospital but you may not be attending to a patient at a particular time. In those times, use it to do your marketing, reach out to clients, send emails, do your marketing. And then when you get home, when you can sit down, have a fresh mind and can think, do your work. Do your work in the early hours of the day and in the late hours of the night. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have a sleep pattern or anything. It just means that you're going to just find a way to balance your life without having to give up any of the two, because they are very important to you, right? So that's typically how I manage my time. So aside this, have friends that care about you, especially when you're in school. Friends that can look out for you, that can say, oh, there's these things that we learned, because you may not be so involved in class stuff, especially towards the exam when you're trying to do your routine part of your work. Have friends that can call you and say, oh, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do. I had very amazing friends when I was in medical school. Shout out to them: Farida, Michelle, Ocho, Zara, who else? Onye, Remy, and literally everybody that looked up for me. Oh, my reading group. Oh God, Ningdom, Kosi, who else? Basically everybody, my classmates. Then they were my group members. Like, I can't start calling everybody's names, but really, I had a good relationship with a lot of my classmates, and they helped me a lot during exam times, during times when I remember doing my medicine final MB final exams. I had a work to edit. I was working full time at this agency then, and I had work to edit the day before my exams. In fact, on my exam day, I had works to edit, and my editor was on my neck. But then I was able to do it. My roommates were reading out to me. They were shouting the stuff I had to read to me, and I was listening. And somehow I was able to do well and everything. So basically, it's a lot. I'm not going to lie to you, it's a lot, but it's possible. It's possible to be let me not say an A student. It's possible to be a very good student and do your remote work. There are a lot of people who started out as students, started out their remote working as students, and right now they've gotten to very high heights, big heights, And it was just because they didn't give up their remote work career for their studies. You can do the two of them, especially if you're in Nigeria where you need a side hustle. You can manage the two of them. So first of all, see it as possible and use all these tips that I just shared, and you're going to be doing very well. You'll be fine and you'll be good. And if you have any questions about this, or maybe specific questions, how did you do this, how did you create your reading timetable, how did you do that, please just ask them in the comment section, and I'm going to be answering your questions. Thank you so much. Bye.